They say sociopaths tend to engage in risky behavior, especially when they're young. And even though I'm not a quote-unquote sociopath, I actually have a heart of gold. I do have a fraternal twin brother that might indeed be a sociopath, and one reason I say this is because of his willingness to take part in risky behavior when we were young. I got arrested once when I was 17, and it was for breaking into a vehicle, when in actuality all I did was touch a car door handle. My brother, however, would occasionally go up and down upper middle-class suburban streets where we grew up, checking the doors on every car and going into the ones that were open, taking all the change and valuables. He once stole a bicycle in the middle of the night from a second-floor balcony. He scaled the side of the building onto the person's porch and dropped the bike below. One of the sneakiest things I've seen him do, which he did over 100 times, was steal my mom and her husband Guy's car every night. One of our favorite movies growing up was License to Drive, and my brother, even today, had always been obsessed with either having a vehicle or having access to one. He stole my mom's car so much, he eventually would just take it outright, leave the state, and never give it back. I was living there off and on when he started doing it, usually sleeping on the side of their house. Our mother's husband, Guy, would fall asleep on a big king-size bed with his 3 black cats after watching The Simpsons and Seinfeld at 10:30. Sometimes, usually during the sitcom Frasier, my brother would tippy-toe into his room. The door was always open so the cats could come and go, and my brother would creep down next to the bed and slowly grab the keys. Then we would drive 70 miles north to Austin on the drag right by the University of Texas. We wouldn't get there till after midnight, but the arcades and coffee shops were still busy at this time. We'd always go to the Metro coffee shop and sit upstairs in the smoking section. Right next door was Le Fun Arcade, and I would always try to get first score on Cruisin' USA. We'd hang out on the drag until 3 or 4 a.m. Sometimes I'd chap up some college broads, or we usually bring a few joints and kept 101.5X playing on the radio, and we'd always make sure to grab a copy of the free Austin Chronicle newspaper. We usually had to race down I-35 back to San Antonio to get the car back to Guy before he woke up a little after 5 a.m. Weaving in and out of traffic, my brother would push the little Suzuki Swift as fast as hard it could go. Sometimes we barely made it back on time, and when Guy got to the car, it was still warm. Michael would stealthily place the keys back on his king-size bed in the middle of the black cats, and I would usually sit on the side of the house reading my copy of the Chronicle newspaper. I'd go back in their house as soon as Guy went to work. For some reason, I always thought if I could just get to that neighborhood in Austin, everything would be swell. Then when I eventually did get to that neighborhood, it was just to get to University of Texas and everything would be okay. The grass is always greener on the other side.